Welcome, everyone. Welcome to HAHE's Café con Leche series presents Descubre tu Historia, Discover Your History with Nedi, Alicea Flores. So on behalf of the Higher Association, Higher Education, I'm going to have the co-chairs go ahead and introduce themselves, and then we'll go on with and if you can just, that'd be great. Okay, Jasenia and Marta, go ahead, introduce yourselves.
Hello, everybody. It's great to see everyone, and welcome to our first event this year, and in a while. So I'm glad we're back in the swing of things, and I'm happy that this is our first Café con Leche, and we have a past colleague of ours with us today. So my name is Jasenia Lopez. I am one of the co-chairs of HAHE, and then I'll introduce Marta is our new co-chair. Go ahead, Marta.
Yeah, so I'm Marta Burgos Vega, and like Yesenia said, I am brand new to the co-chair position, and I just want to thank everyone for being here today on this short notice.
Thank you, everyone. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you. I have here, oops, sorry, I have a little technical thing. So it is Nedi, Alicea Flores. After 20 years in career in human resource, she decided to pursue her true passion of genealogy and Latinos, Latinas, Latinx find their family history. She was inspired throughout her life while listening to the stories of her maternal abuelitos, grandparents, growing up in the 1940s in Puerto Rico, and then their experiences in New York City in the 1950s. If you can go ahead and mute yourself to avoid background noise, that'd be great. Thank you. To continue, that is how her journey started, expanding more on her maternal side and helping her grandfather find answers about the father he lost when he was just 4 years old. Then meeting documents of her paternal grandparents, whom she never got to know. She learned more about the history of her island of Puerto Rico that you don't always find in school books. Then she shared and saw the gift of watching someone connect with their ancestors and heal and be empowered with this knowledge. That is when her mission and dream was born. Now it is to dedicate her life to help others connect with their ancestors, empower and help them heal through the knowledge of their family history. So it is Nelly Alicea Flores. As mentioned in your bio, you made a career change after 20 years. Tell us what impacted and motivated you to start your journey into your passion and being the founder of Descubre tu Historia.
Oh, wow. That alone is a very loaded question. Well, I mean, first, oh my God, I'm seeing everybody and I'm seeing all the names and I'm getting emotional. I miss you guys so much. It's so amazing and surreal to be here with all of you. I am excited and to share this very important part of me with all of you. So what inspired me? Well, I've always had a love for history. That's been a long life love for it. And then as time went by, it just kept growing and growing. And once I started about 9 years ago, I finally said, let me start doing research for my family. And as I started doing that, I discovered finally what it meant to be passionate about something where it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like I have
She froze a little bit.
what it meant was people, am I frozen?
You're good now.
Okay, yeah, let me know because it's windy here. So when it gets windy, the Wi-Fi gets a little wonky here.
We'll work through
So,
it, don't worry.
So yeah, I started 9 years ago with my family. And as I started to discover and understand more of myself through my ancestors, more of my father and my paternal side and my maternal side through my family. And then on top of that, started discovering more of the history of Puerto Rico and my island. And it was just, and then once I started to share with my family and seeing their reactions, the empowerment I
came from Theranos and Elizabeth.
sorry, I hear feedback.
Whoever came in on the iPad, can you please mute yourself?
Documents were a huge.
All right,
Thank you.
we're good. Sorry. So yeah, so then I connected through them and understood a little more about myself, and I started to share with my family, and I started seeing how empowering it was to not only know your history, but to understand more about the people that surround you and see them in such a different way just by doing my genealogy. I wanted to share, then it became passionate about sharing it with other Latinos, Latinas, and Latinx, because our history, again, yeah, it's not readily available to us, and it's so important. And so for me, it literally started, so I'm gonna start sharing my screen here. Oops, hold on. Can everybody see that? Okay. So literally, for me, it all started with my paternal side. I wanted to know about my paternal side. My grandmother, paternal biological grandmother, passed when my dad was 10. So I never knew her. And it all started with that one document. Once I saw that first document, I was lost. Once I shared it with my family, it became so important, everything. So then in 2018, it's a lot of things happened, but then in 2018, I finally made the decision to leave where I was and go to where I felt I was going to be closer to my community. So all of this kind of started stirring things up in me. Is this where I want to stay until I retire? But I really love this so much. But all that dialogue, that internal dialogue inside of you, but my God, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. How can I? But then I felt this, and it made me even hungrier to connect with my community, be closer to my community, which brought me to sick. Once I went to Springfield Tech and I was surrounded by all of you, which is amazing that so many of you are here today. It started with finally saying yes to myself.
Okay.
It stopped me. And said yes to a wonderful group of people from the Hispanic Association of Higher Ed, became part of this group. And, I love that I'm here today because I can tell you guys how much you guys challenged me in the best way, surrounding myself by the right people. You guys saw what I wanted to do. You saw the gifts that I yet did not know I had, and you pushed me. I stood in front of an audience for the first time because of you. I'm doing my first big speaking event, because yet to this day, you're still challenging me. Look what I'm doing today.
That's right.
And then, yeah, through you guys just opened up that hunger even more of me wanting to do what I really loved.
So it is, Nelly, let me ask you, so is this a major discovery in this capacity that changed your perspective about genealogy? Was it this passion being part of this group in HAHE?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Even sharing with all of you, just because I used to talk to all of you about what I was doing on the side and seeing your own excitement about it. it just made me even more, I want to do this. And it was scary. It was scary to say, okay, am I going to leave this career of almost 20 years to jump on this whole brand new career with its own credentials and everything? But by surrounding myself with the right people, finally saying yes to myself, finally not letting fear stop me, I said yes. And I kept pushing myself even more. So then I became comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then the day that changed my life, which all of you can recall, and yes, you guys made it to this presentation, is the day that
that was a great day.
the day that Denise Soler Cox came into STIC, and we had screened Project Enye in October of 2018. And Denise was just someone that I connected with right away. And I said, I need to meet her. I started to follow her. Not only does she dedicates herself to helping Latinas, making their dreams come true. And I started to follow her. Finally, the day she came to STIC, I actually found myself alone in the elevator with her, shared my dream with her, kind of like blurted it out, and didn't think anything was going to happen. I just wanted to share it with her. I admired her. I felt like she was already my mentor. And she looked at me and said, "Mujer, we have to talk. You have to do this." Part of me was going, "Oh my God, whoa." And then the other part of me was going, "Oh my God, what did I do?" Like, wait. And then I never looked back. In July of that year, I founded Descubre tu Historia. And ever since then, it just became a journey of, I founded Descubre, I started getting clients, I started seeing how it affected them to know about their history, how important, and then that's finally when, circumstances worked out where I was able to just dedicate myself full time to Descubre, and I've been full time now for more than a year.
Wow, that's amazing. The fact, us here in HAHE, what we strive to do is to, make the community aware of what's going on and bring awareness, to the Latinx community, not just in Springfield, but hopefully, Western Mass. Let's start there, and maybe eventually other colleges and universities. And the fact that, one of our own, had an impact and did an elevator pitch, and all of a sudden your perspective changed. That's a great impact and great story. So let me ask you, were there any obstacles and challenges? And if so, how did you overcome it in this journey, while getting there?
Yeah, there were. I mean, it was mostly internal, is working through that internal dialogue that you get used to telling yourself, the I can'ts, it's too late. If I feel fear, then that means I shouldn't do it. That I did that for years, many years. I think even when I knew that I wanted to do this professionally, I sat on it for 6 years because I was so like, oh no, if I feel fear, So just getting over that internal dialogue, which I always say, it doesn't ever go away completely, but you do learn to manage it. And I think the key thing is surrounding yourself with the right people, surrounding yourself with people that will empower you, that will motivate you, that will challenge you. And that is exactly what I did when I surrounded myself with HAHE. I surrounded myself with a group of people that did that. And then I surrounded myself with amazing EDA Dream Accelerator program. I joined Denise's Dream Accelerator program and met amazing women, which some of them are here today. And they're we call each other supernatural sisters, because honestly, when we get together, the magic is there, and it's been amazing. I think the key is just surrounding yourself. But yeah, it is hard. It's a journey, and you have to try to learn to go with the ups and the downs, and most of all, give yourself grace, which is a big lesson for myself, learning to give myself grace.
Wow. So tell me a little bit more, Nedi, like, why do you think it is important in the Latino, Latina, Latinx community around the world to discover their history like you sort of did?
I think it's so important. One, yeah, because our history is not readily available to us. The history that a lot of us know is history that the little bit that we know, us in the diaspora, it's history that we've been taught. But there is so much more. We are such a big part of not just the US history, but the world history. And once we know what that influence is, and we realize that through our ancestors and through our genealogy, it does shift something in you. It makes you are part, we belong. We belong. That's the biggest realization. Like one of my clients that I helped, her family's from Mexico, and some of the branches are from Cuba and Spain. And her history with the United States goes back all the way until 1700s. And she's like, and she said it to me, she said, you know what's the biggest thing, Iris? Mi gente estuvo aquí también. And that's the thing. We were all there. Our ancestors were there. Just because they're not mentioned doesn't mean they were not. And just learning, and you do learn that through your genealogy, and you do learn that through your history.
Wow, that's very powerful that she said that her people was there, and that must hit home to her, and knowing that we're all part of history. So to our history, I feel that this is so fitting because I have a friend, for example, that she did the DNA test to find out, and she's Puerto Rican, and to her surprise, she was almost 90% Irish. And then she wondered why she loved the Irish culture so much. And it just turned out that it was part of her DNA. And it just goes to show you that all around the world, we are a melting pot. And only through genealogy, you really discover things about you that maybe you thought they were missing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, learning Puerto Rico, just learning all the different immigrations that came through Puerto Rico. I mean, we are literally the center of, like, we represent a good chunk of the world alone in Puerto Rico. And you see it in our DNA.
Absolutely. So today being International Women's Day, and you being a woman who founded Descubre tu Historia, since 2019, it's only literally maybe 3 years old. Tell me, as a female in this field, what does that mean to you, and how can you inspire others to do the same thing?
Actually, in the industry of genealogy, I've learned very pleasantly that it's very well represented by women. And so that has been very empowering. I do believe that Latinos need to be more represented. There is not a lot of Latina genealogists out there. And there's such a hunger for our people to know, our community to know more about their history. And I think it's so important to be more of me out there, because I can't take care of everything.
Well, that's great though.
But yeah, so my hopes is through this to not just influence people and motivate them and inspire them to look into their history, whether I do the investigation or they do the investigation themselves, is that other professional genealogists will come from this, and we can collaborate and make a community out of it.
Yeah, and make it more international, the theme of today's event. I do have another question, but I do want to invite others who are viewing. If you have questions, definitely use the chat, and towards the end, we'll go ahead and address your questions. I'm pretty sure everyone has something to ask. It is Nedi about genealogy. So it is Nedi. If someone wanted to start, their journey as a genealogist or seek out a genealogist to help track their ancestry, how would they start?
I came up with these like 4 steps that I kind of that are kind of like a guide to kind of help people narrow things down a little bit. I mean, that's one thing I learned in my world of HR. A lot of what I learned in HR, I kind of apply here, especially the organizational part, because there's so much material. Like mainstream, kind of mainstream the process a little bit, especially for someone that is starting. Things that I wish I had known when I started and that someone had helped me and guided me and telling me. So one of the first things is, I always tell people, decide what you want to know the most about or who you want to know the most about. That is very important. Yeah, we want to know everything from experience. And this is la voz de la experiencia.
Yes, yes.
I started with, I want to know about all my lines. And big mistake. I overwhelmed myself so much. So yes, you want to focus on who you want to know the most. Obviously, once I did that, I learned that lesson. I didn't know that I wanted to know the most about is my paternal grandmother. I did not, outside of her name, I didn't have any information on her. And so that's why that document was so meaningful, because that one document gave me her parents' names. I found out she was from Maunabo. I always thought my family was from Bayamón and Cataño, which, I mean, if you're from Puerto Rico, that's like,
Right, very hard.
so yeah, and so it helped me focus. It helps you really, it just enriches the research more, and it helps you get more into the details. So that's very important. Decide what you want to do first and who you want to know the most about first. And then the second one is simple. Just write down everything you know. Even what you think is not important, write it down. Because sometimes the smallest detail is a clue. So that's why I always write down everything, whether, date and place of birth, if you know it, date and place of death, if you know it, approximate years is fine. Place and dates of marriage, if you, again, if you know it, parent information, if you know it. The more information, yes, the more information, the better. Because it helps you, especially when it comes to narrowing it down to towns in Puerto Rico. That's a big one, or any place in Latin America, Mexico, or anything. You want it to narrow down as much as possible to the town. Makes it a lot easier for your search. And if you're able to, speak with family members. And I'm always careful with this one, because I think now Encanto has put in it the best way. Don't talk about Bruno. We run into this a lot. There's a lot that our elders sometimes don't want to talk about, and it's hard. And, I always advise my clients, and it's okay. Let them know you want to talk to them. If they're ready, they'll come to you. And sometimes when you start sharing information, you'll be surprised. And that's how it was for my grandpa. My grandpa, mi abuelito, he doesn't talk a lot about his past. And just by sharing information with him, I have learned so much. And so if you can talk to your family members, just interview them if you're able to, specifically about the person you want to know the most about. And because sometimes that's where the great information is, or if do preliminary research and share it with them.
I wanted to quickly share there and say that unbeknownst to me, someone ever asked me, I asked the question to my dad, like, is there anyone in my family that is super tall? Because I don't know where all this tallness is coming from. And unbeknownst to me, at my age, I found out that my great grandfather was close to 7 feet tall. And I was like,
well, there you go.
So like you said, there's questions that people they need direct questions. And sometimes just by sharing something, it'll trigger their memory. So I like that point or that step.
Abuela is just like that. She is one, I'll start mentioning names and the stories just start to come. And so it's really, I love it. I love doing that. And I love that I get to do that with them still, because we're blessed that they're still with us. And my grandpa, he's one of those stories that was like, so he lost his father when he was 4. So he didn't know, he didn't know much about his dad, except he did die tragically, except of the way he died. And this was one of the things that actually inspired me to know that I need to do this for others. I shared the death record. And even now he looked at the death record and he goes, Papi era chofer. It's like that one detail about his dad, that his dad was a chauffeur, just that one other detail outside of the way he passed, outside of the other stories, he knew that one. I got to see my grandpa outside of the grandpa role. I saw the child. I saw the child that lost his father, the child that, and it was such a gift that I was able to give to him, but it was also to me, because that's when I learned even more, I need to do this. And it's such a gift. That's why you never know what you're giving to your family members. Some of them may resist, but you would be surprised how many eventually just start to get curious. And he was one that started to get curious, and it was a very special moment for the both of us. And I will never forget that. And another thing I say, a lot of obviously our former Spanish colonies, a lot of them were mostly Catholic, or were Catholic, because you had to be Catholic to be a Spanish citizen. The old Catholic Bibles, if any of you have seen them in any of your abuelitos, abuelitas, uncles and tias houses, check them out. Because a lot of people back in those days would note important events such as baptisms, marriages, and deaths in those Catholic Bibles. I mean, one of my clients, that's what she sent me, and she had at least 2 to 3 generation information in there that I was able to get to start her tree. So it can be very, so you
You froze a little bit, so you might have to
start with yourself.
It is Nedi, are you still there? Oh, just frozen a little bit.
I'm here, and I can hear you.
All right,
Sorry about that.
You might want to repeat that last 4 step again, and then.
Oh, okay. So the 4th step is about, as you all know, most of our countries were former Spanish colonies, which means in order to be a Spanish citizen, you had to be part of the Catholic Church. So a lot of our family members were Catholic, if they're not still, and they have the Catholic Bibles. Those Catholic Bibles, they used to put information such as marriage, birth, and baptismal records. So it is very important that you check those Bibles, because you can have.
Oh no.
Hi, Terry, can you please mute your phone?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. It happens. Go ahead.
So, so did you hear about the Catholic Bible?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so don't have to do it a 3rd time. Okay. And then choose a tree building platform. The most popular especially for Spanish or Latinos, is definitely Ancestry and Family Search. Family Search is a free platform, so it's always great, especially if you are just starting out. I personally recommend to start in Family Search. And then Ancestry is it has a 14-day free trial, but it is a paid, and because you're going to be going into Spanish collections, you do have to do the international subscription, which can be a little more pricey. So, but I would definitely start with family search. A lot of what's in, well, I mean, family search is basically the mother, the hub of all information genealogy all around the world. So that is definitely the perfect place to start. And that's about at least my 4 basic steps to start. I don't know if you have any questions. I hope you didn't miss too much because of my computer freezing.
No, no. So no, if you can just take us a little bit more.
Oh,
Carol, you
can't-
muted yourself.
what did you?
I try to take it off and I mute myself. Okay. So just wanted to talk a little bit more, if you can go ahead and elaborate more, like what does Descubre tu Historia, not only just in, for example, Puerto Rico, like are there any other clients around the world, and what is different? You know, what are the different processes and procedures for that?
So I currently, of course, I focus a lot in Puerto Rico, but I definitely have clients from Mexico. Right now, specifically, I have clients from the Jalisco area, or their ancestors are from the Jalisco, Michoacan. And then I do have from Chihuahua. So I've worked in those 3 states of Mexico, and there's a lot, and especially in Mexico, I've been able to go back. There is still a lot available out there. I've currently started working with Panama and Ecuador. So, you know, there is different ways. Definitely, it does differ depending on what country you're working with. So for example, Colombia, there is not a lot online. So you do have to kind of go through the genealogical society over there in order to be able to get into their database and find some information. So one of the best ways, especially for someone that's just starting, if you would just Google, for example, if you want to know Mexico or Colombia genealogy wiki, so WIKI, if you Google that, a wiki page for family search will come up, and that wiki page will tell you what is available. And that is a perfect guide, especially for someone that's just starting out. It gives you an idea of what's available online and what's available in, you know, as far as other societies and everything that are out there to help you in your search. But so another country, that obviously Spain, I've gone into Spain. But mostly right now, I've focused more Panama. I've done some in Ecuador, Mexico, and a little bit of Cuba. Cuba is mostly through the immigration and travel records, at least for us for now. And there is a genealogy society in Miami, and there are collections available through the University of Miami online that you can also have access to. And so, yeah, but and obviously it's the United States, the former Spanish colony states, Florida, Texas, Utah, California, Arizona, and New Mexico, all of those used to be Mexico. So eventually you start hitting Spanish collections in those states too.
Wow, that's great information. And what else can you tell us about, you know, your presentation, or the people who you came across that really, because you're becoming a pioneer in the Latinx community internationally. So it seems. So is there anyone else that you can, you know, sort of mention or find out who also impacted, motivated you to keep doing this?
Oh, I mean, one of the biggest people is this lady right here, which I know some of my supernatural sisters that are on here will recognize her. We call her our madrina. She's the person that ever since she looked at me and said, "Mujer, you have to do this." She was actually my first client. And she made me feel like oh wow, I can do this. And I've helped her answer questions in her own family that she had, and being able to give her answers to those questions has been an amazing experience. And she's opened the doors for me in a way that I never thought. I mean, I never ever, I mean, just sitting here today saying I am the founder of Descubre tu Historia, saying I am the founder of anything, those are words that I maybe daydreamed about, never thought I would actually sit in front of you guys that got me started, that put that root there, and that I'm actually doing this. So she's been a huge part. And obviously the support of she's Nicole, I've helped her. She's the traveling hypnotist. She's doing amazing work for Latinos and Latinas and Latinx. And these are just amazing people that I've met through basically Denise, that has has put me out there, and me trusting myself and saying, yeah, I can do this. I'm doing this. And actually, I just had one of the biggest moments. I never thought so as a genealogist, I'm sure some of you know the show Finding My Roots. It's a
Yes.
PBS show. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So obviously, as a genealogist, you dream with having your Finding My Roots moment, or that's what I call it. And I just had that this past September. I actually filmed with Denise for her next documentary.
Right.
And I'm looking at this picture alone, it's like, I'm just so thankful. I never thought ever, and I never thought I would be here, do that. And I literally feel sometimes like I'm literally living a dream. And that's why I tell people, you know, it's never too late. Don't ever say it's too late. Don't do that. I mean, I'm over my 40s.
30.
When I said yes, when I said I'm gonna do this, and fear, like I always say, fear is gonna be part of the road. But it's always gonna be part. Just keep fear in the back seat, and you take that take control, and whatever. It's gonna get loud sometimes, but you know, tell it to quiet down.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
just do what you gotta do.
Just to add to that, it is Nedi. I have a couple of friends and coworkers who say the same thing, that as a female entrepreneur, and nowadays, fear has kept them away, as you mentioned. But hopefully today, International Women's Day, by your words alone, can inspire other women entrepreneurs not to be afraid and to keep pushing forward. And so good to hear you say that. And hopefully this will inspire people to not be afraid.
Exactly. And or even if you're afraid, it's okay.
Right.
It's okay. I mean, everybody know, I was very honest. You know how nervous I was before this? People that know me, you know probably how nervous I was. And I did it because I know how important it is, for myself. And it's a type of fear that when you can picture yourself doing that thing and you feel excitement, but then you think about it and you feel scared, but yet you picture yourself, you daydream about it, and it's exciting at the same time. That's the fear you need to make friends with and say, go to the back seat, because that means that's what I need to do. There's the other type of fear, the one that warns us when something is not good. And it's that's the one we listen to. But then there's this other one that one is us also that one's always prominent, always there. And we confuse it with the other one. And we need to know the difference between the two.
Wow. So what do you see yourself doing with this journey of genealogy? Like from here to 5 or even 10 years, like what do you envision for yourself and for this?
Wow. That's a big one too.
It's okay, you froze right at the perfect time that you're thinking about it. I'll fill in until she unfreezes. Any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I will share with them towards the end of the celebration.
Oh, I'm here.
Now you're back. So if you thought
Back,
about it,
okay.
you're safe.
Sorry. So much of what I've envisioned has happened. So much of what I've manifested has happened. So now I know there's no stopping me. That even though at moments that can be scary too. But now I know everything I can want for myself, for my family is possible. So I'm hoping that to keep growing Descubre, to keep making a community out of this, a community where we collaborate and help each other, because while yes, I'm trying to make a living out of it because, you know, but I have a mission. I want us to empower ourselves with knowledge of our history, to heal through our history and through our ancestors. That's the big mission that I have. And so I envision growing Descubre more and hopefully becoming something that a movement. Basically.
That's amazing. That it's amazing. And I want to continue to empower you and, you know, let the community know that you are working for the community, for everyone to discover their history, their ancestors. Now, let me ask you, you work with any clients, correct? It doesn't matter like really who they are, because in the chat, there's someone who wanted to know, like if you have communication with consulates in other countries to verify part of your family who lived in a specific area of that country.
So right now, no, I don't have relationships with the consulate. It's not something that's commonly done yet, or that I've heard that it's done in genealogy. There's a lot of genealogical work. So there's mostly relationships with genealogical societies. You connect with different genealogical societies in different countries. Right now, Family Search has also family history centers all over the world, has family history library affiliates all over the world. So that's really where our communication and where, you know, we could try to get information through if we're not able to get it readily on the internet.
And like I said, you work with, you know, anyone who just wants to find out about their family.
Yeah. I mean, I do mainly work with Latinos, Latinas, and Latinx, but I also do, I have one American collection client that I've been helping, and that's been fascinating. And I also, I hope our very own, or your very own, was my very own, Vanetta. I've been helping her with our she's African-American collections. And that's, so yeah, I mean, I am definitely open to helping others.
Great. Is there a story, or is there something that has impacted you to a point that has never left you? Like a story or an event that through this process, you just kept to heart, or just really, really moved you to the point that just kept motivating you?
Honestly, the stories through my different clients, or even the people that I'm helping or that have questions through you know, that we'll talk, and they have questions on their own, they're doing their own research. And there's so many people that have said, oh my God, because of, you know, you gave me this information on how to find this, now I know my great grandmother, I know who she is, I know where she's from. I'm gonna go visit now her town where she is from, where she was from, and I get to walk around and see and walk and see the things, the place she was there, from not knowing anything. And I've gotten a lot of that. So it's hard to narrow it down to one, because it's a lot of different stories like that. People, you know, being able to, from knowing nothing to having all this information, my own story of now have all this information about her, and I was able to visit the town, things that she saw. That was very special.
So overall, it's really about healing, because I know that a lot of people who go through a process or use your services or any genealogy services is because they want to find out there's something missing. They want to know about their history. So it's more about healing the person and the person understanding where they belong, or what do they know about them, correct?
Yeah. It is about healing, especially for those that haven't had information, or, you know, or those that have had trauma in their lives and sometimes just don't know the root of that trauma. And I'm not saying that the documents are going to say, well, this happened, but sometimes putting the documents together and seeing the life that our ancestors lived and the conditions can answer so many questions as to why certain trauma carried over to the next generation. And I mean, I know personally, understanding more about my paternal side may help me understand my father more, understand the trauma that he lived for, and then went on to the next generation. And that was very helpful in healing. And a lot of that, you see that a lot in the clients and the different people that also doing their own research and I talk to. It's just being able to put pieces together of stories that we've heard that sometimes families don't want to talk about. And being able to find those answers, even if they're sometimes not easy answers. I mean, there are some really hard answers.
Absolutely. All right. Is there anything else, it is Nelly, that you want to show us before I open it up for people so they can ask their questions?
No, I mean, I think the only thing is just this is where you can find me. If you have any questions or anything, please reach
Great.
out and let me know. And I mean, you guys are like family. It's so many of you, and of course, any questions you guys have, I'm always open.
So right now, I want to go ahead and open up the floor for anyone who has a particular question who's here. If you want to go ahead and either unmute yourself and ask the question, that'd be great. Or raise your hand and I can call on you if you want, like a little teacher, professor.
I think Carol, whoever's on the iPhone has had a question for a while. If we want to call on them first.
I think they've been there. I think that was Rasha. Joe Welch, do you have a question?
Good day. My name is Joe Welch, and yes, I am one of the sisters. So I just want to celebrate Edie's. You did an amazing job, but also I wanted to include the question of what happens if you find bad news? How do you prepare yourself for it? How do you deal with some of the realities that are happening in our tree?
Yeah, that's a big one. And I'm actually living that right now with a person I'm helping. I have some really hard answers for this person in regards to a third great grandfather, and it's not easy. So I try to be very sensitive about that, very respectful that sometimes people just don't want to know. So I just give them the heads up. And I try to be very honest with my clients. There is realities to our history because of the mixed history that we have. That's the thing that Latinos, we're going to.
She keeps squeezing. It's very windy.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So it's hard with Latinos, you were saying?
Yeah, it's hard. Latinos, we have everything. That's what's for most of us, it's a little bit of everything. So it's a lot to process. So I always tell my clients and people that are doing their own research, allow yourself to feel what you need to feel. Whatever you're feeling, it's okay. Don't be ashamed. If you have to walk away from the research, do it. It's healthy. Because we are going to find such a mixed bag of things, especially in our research, in our heritage, having such, having the indigenous, having the African, and having the Hispanic, the European Spanish.
Wow. Anyone else? Go right ahead. Let me see. Anyone?
Gracias, amor.
Nada.
Okay. All right. So I would like to then invite now the HAHE members, the HAHE board members, if you want to go ahead and ask a particular question or just to enjoy the conversation or a comment, go right ahead.
So I just wanted to say I am so proud of you. And I think this speaks to the importance of these resource groups, right, within our human resources, our places of work, right, where we can connect, where we can feel like we belong. We can find people who are very supportive, to kind of push us through those uncomfortable moments or push us through to the next step in life, right? And although we miss you dearly here at STIC, like I am so glad and grateful I got the opportunity to meet you and that we were able to be part of your journey. And that's what these resource groups are about, right? Finding
Yes.
people who are supportive. And I love that you have your supernatural sisters and people. I know I saw Rosalia on here earlier, who we've had her before, and it's great to just see how you all collide and work together. And so I'm just very thankful that we had the opportunity to have you here. And I want to go back to the reference of Encanto. I love that the movie exists because we see ourselves now in this film, right? Where you were talking about, silence your fears. And I thought about also Luca, right? So the movie Luca, it's Silencio Bruno, right? Like, you don't want to. So I'm like very much into these Disney movies now, especially with kids. So I think that, having that opportunity to have these Disney movies that are representative and my kids can see themselves in these films and kind of see these opportunities of, as Latinos, Latinas, we exist, right? And we are part of history, and we have things to contribute. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, all of you. I mean, again, it's just perfect. It's surreal, but it's at the same time full circle to be here because of HAHE, because of having this resource group, where I used to work before STIC. I didn't have that. And you guys changed my life. To become part of this group, seeing other Latinos and Latinas and everybody, not just Latinos and Latinas, but everybody that comes together in HAHE, because it's not just Latinos and Latinas, it's all of us that come together in HAHE and work together. It was just so inspiring, and you guys just opened up that floodgates of what I always wanted, and you pushed me, in the most beautiful way, in a loving way. I mean, I still remember when Jen asked me to be mediator for one of the panels, and I was like, what?
Go ahead, Figueroa.
And here I am. And so, yeah, I just, again, so appreciative of you guys. You guys will always be special to me.
So we have a question. Go ahead.
This was a great surprise for me. I hadn't gone into these meetings for a little while. And it was so amazingly surprising that it was you that came to the, for this session, celebrating this day. I wanted to say that I related very much to the fears that sometimes we have moving forward as a Latino, whether also with the age issue. I've been in this career for so long, making a change is, drastic at this point in my life, all that kind of stuff. And I want to tell you that you've motivated me. I think this is a day that I need to mark, from this point forward, because
yes,
because I have been, there are things, that I've been finding out about in reference to going into certain things, on the side for our future and so on and so forth. And I think this is a stepping stone, right, to move forward in the direction I need to go in. It's like I said, it's incredibly motivating when you spoke about your realistic experience, that sometimes you have the ups and downs, but you just got to push through and not give the voice of fear, the, how do I say it, not give it the front seat, right? Continue to move forward, take that leap of faith, kind of thing. And yeah, I'm gonna move forward. I can do this, and more Latinos being involved is just amazing and incredible. I feel that we do need to, that sometimes we put a stop to ourselves, you know, when we do have the capacity and there is that feeling of, I want to do it, I dream about it, but I picture myself, but I don't do it. I don't go ahead and take the step and do it. So it's incredible. Thank you so much for everything that you've brought today. And well, I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Raquel. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to go ahead and ask a question or share quick comments? You're more than welcome to. Yeah, Jen says, so proud of you, Iris. Miss you already, dearly. Super cool.
Can I just say something?
Yes, go ahead, Nanette.
I am so
make me
proud of my
cry.
girl. If I don't talk, I'll just explode. But anyway, I've known Iris since she was born, so I can say that she's genuine, that she's special. I always call her my firstborn because having a niece is like having your own kids. I love my own kids as much as I love my nephews and nieces. So love you. Mucho éxito. I know you already have it in you, so I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Titi.
And you know what I've noticed here? There's a lot of Floreses. Iris,
That's my mom's here too.
you're connected. There's a
Oh, yeah,
Vivian,
got 'em.
and then me, Lydia, you. We're all connected. We're all connected. All right, those are wonderful things. So we have just a few more minutes, and if anyone else wants to go ahead and say something, don't cry already, honey. Don't cry.
Kara's running.
It's okay. All right. So anyone else? Jen? Wallace Johnson?
Hey, hi Iris.
Hello.
So happy to see your face.
Happy to see you.
Thank you for doing this with us. We're so happy to have you back and we hope it continues. And Carol, you always do such a phenomenal job every year for International Women's Day. Thoughtful and appreciated and in conjunction with HAHE. And I just want you guys to know that you're appreciated and we're proud of all of you. And I'm happy, you know, to work with all of you. And thank you, Iris, for joining us.
Thank you.
We miss you.
I miss you too.
So I would like to say that I want to take and do a heartfelt thank you to each and every single one of you who attended today's celebration. International Women's Day is to celebrate who we all are and make our men understand who we are and our boys and our sons and our nephews and all of that, because we make the world go around, and without us, it'd be so much boring, you know, think about it. But no, just wanted to really say thank you all. This has a pleasure. Iris, Nedi, thank you so much for being the guest speaker today and telling us about your history of Discover Your History and descubretuhistoria.com. I believe that's your website, and I put it on the chat. So go ahead and check her out. Thank you all. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to her or myself, and then we can go ahead and go from there. So thank you all for making this a wonderful event. Have a good day, everybody. Bye now.
And then Iris, if you want to press stop recording, that way.
Oh yeah.